Okay, that should come straight back up. So I'm happy with the glaze on the blue. It's really melded it. So now I'm going to do the final highlight layer. Oh, stress. Okay. So for this, I'm going to go with... I'm going to go ice blue. So you can see the colours next to each other. Now, the ice blue is quite similar to the actual last colour I used for the stripes. A little bit paler, but because it's got the same shade, it should overlayer it quite well, even though this has been brought down to a much darker colour because of the glaze. At the end of the day, I can always do another glaze over this once this is on. So if there's a big difference, it doesn't really matter, I can glaze it down. And also, come back brush. Going to use a little bit of tissue to just mop up the excess highlight I was just using, because there's a lot of glaze in it and it can spread quite easily. So let's get rid of that just to prevent that happening. That's better. Now again, I'm going to put, sorry, just fixing my hair. Again, I'm going to put a little bit of glazing agent into the ice blue because I wanted to have that very slight transparent look, and the glaze is what does that. This does need to be much more delicate than the last application of lines as well, because this is pretty much the final one. You can put thinner medium in as well. I just default to glaze because I just really like the finish. Okay. I just want to do a quick little check as well. I'll do it on, crap, see there's not really any area that's hidden. I'll try just the base of his tail, because it may need to be much brighter than it currently is. I might have to put white into this. Yeah. Yeah, that needs white. It's not bright enough. When I'm brightening blue, I only brighten it with white, because like there are other colours you could technically use a yellow, but you're gonna you know, change it off. It's a bit frustrating because when you use white to brighten a colour, you can really change the final shade, but there isn't really any other option. That's much brighter. But I realise like it needs to be, but also now it needs more glaze. Yes, I have a lot of that. Actually, I've got a very large bottle of it. Now, I've used this with the actual airbrush. I haven't used it with paint for the hand brush yet, but to be honest, I'm not going to try it out on a figure that's nearly finished. I'll try it out on something next up. Next up is, as soon as this is finished, actually I think it's arriving today, sorry, just a moment. I think it's arriving today, is a Heldrake. A beautiful Heldrake that's going to be Zinch. So it's a lot of burnished gold, a lot of blue, and a lot of bone white. And I was thinking I might try it on that. Because why not? Now, so with this final stripe layer, it's going to be really hard to see because it's so thin. All this striping is going to do is run along the centre of the stripes that are already there. Sorry, I'm having a hair emergency. Give me a second, it's gone right into my eye. Ugh. But yeah, so this striping is going to be quite hard to see on camera, but it's going to be really, really obvious when I take the photos later on. I think I'll try the airbrush medium, alright, with the Heldrake, because I'll be able to try it on a very base layer when I'm just starting off with it, and then if I don't like it, that doesn't matter. Then I can redo it really simply. But the plan is to get started on that Heldrake tonight, because it has a time frame that needs to be completed within for a tournament. I don't really know if these stripes are even going to show on the camera. They're going to be so minimal. Maybe I'll start somewhere a bit more obvious. Now, what I was saying before about stripes is that you have to come up with a pattern in your head that you stick with for the entirety of the model. If you start striping a model and then you get confused about the pattern, it's going to end up looking a mess. And you might think to yourself, what are you talking about? What pattern? It's just straight lines. No, sadly. It's straight lines on the plates that are straight. On plates that curve, you have to come up with a pattern for the stripes that you stick with. Because if you make any changes to this, it's not going to look coherent. So you have to be really careful. So the pattern that I use is depending on the plate. For plates like this at the top, that's everything is very straight here on the top. The lines can be super straight, slightly thicker at the top of the plate because it doesn't have an overlapping plate, and then thinner at the bottom with a fine line. For the plates that have an overlapping plate, it's the other way. It's thicker at the bottom of the stripe than it is at the top, and that creates the effect of it coming out from under. And also they start to splay, so the stripes are splaying in different directions on either side because the plate curves. So how that's done is, the pattern that I use is the very center of each plate has a straight line, and then I splay diagonally going out along the sides. And again, that sounds like it just doesn't matter, but oh my god, it does. It makes such a difference if you keep a coherent pattern that makes sense. Especially you can really see it on the legs, the way the stripes are all splaying out in the same direction in comparison to the center plates where they're quite straight. That difference is unbelievable, and I've had a lot of trial and error with that, believe me, before I learned how important that was to keep that solid pattern going. Okay, so you're kind of seeing this final stripe highlight now. It's really, really, really thin lines down the centre of each stripe if I can. Doesn't really matter if they're slightly off, I've said this before, because it doesn't have to be super, super perfectly straight, because this is an organic creature. And your brain is going to be like, oh, it's okay, it's an animal, of course they wouldn't be perfectly straight. This was on a machine. You would need to make these stripes perfectly straight or it doesn't work. Immediately make a mistake. Bombshell. If that's something I have, God, why does that sound familiar? I think that if that's something I have. See, when I moved house, because I've moved from the last 2 years, I have moved house 5 times. I cannot even begin to explain the horror of moving your everything you own that many times. But I packed everything miniature wise very, very carefully, like in one big area. So I have everything. If that's something I have, give me a shout and let me know what it is, and I'll find it. And yeah, if it belongs to you, Jesus, I'll get it back to you. There's some stuff I have like that that I'm actually looking at it going, what is this? Is this me? You're back with the webcam. You didn't go buy that webcam, did you? Oh, it's a Kickstarter. Cool, yeah, do. No, I thought there for a second that you'd sent me something and I still have it. Because that's what I was saying. I have like I have some figures that I look at them like I don't know what this is. How what? Because I didn't look at anything for nearly 2 years and I kept it all packed. So when I went to unpack to set up this painting desk, I was like, what is this stuff? Oh, okay. Well, look, PM me, let me know what I've got. I'll have a look. Everything is solidly packed in little boxes that are right now stacked under this desk because I wasn't sure what was going on with them. Oh god, I'm regretting this already. Oh, is there connection problems, guys? Let me know. See, it's strange because it says the stream quality is perfect on this end, but you're definitely don't be surprised if there is a bit of buffering though. That's just because of the quality of streaming up. But if you're actually getting disconnects or anything like that, Jesus, let me know. Can you see a noticeable difference there at all? With those stripes? I can anyway. Just hoping it's noticeable. Oh, that's good. You know, I think what's actually happening is uh, I think it's down to your location as well, because Twitch is a bit strange about the servers it uses. Ha ha ha! Yeah, there are stripes. Man, this is gonna take forever. This is true. I am concentrating on tiny stripes. I'm actually holding my breath for painting a lot of them, which is probably really bad for me. I pass out. Also, why the hell am I using the... Why am I using a size 0? Oh, screw it. Now what I'm doing here, it's really hard to see because this is like really detailed work, but what I'm doing is I'm using very, very liquid paint. I'm dotting it on at the bottom and then pulling it down, and that's letting it pool a little bit at the bottom, and it's creating a fade of its own. I'm not really doing any effort there, it's just creating that fade. Now, that's not noticeable on this stream. When I take a photo of this girl later, I think you'll be able to see it. And you'll say, oh, that's what she was talking about. That's what she's talking about. If I make a mistake, I go, ugh, and I just dab it with water as quickly as I can. I hope everything's gonna be okay. I think that's what most people do. There's no, I'm no surefire fix. To be honest, my hands are quite stable now. That's actually, I know it sounded a bit funny, but when I ran off earlier and I got that Turkish delight, that wasn't just for fun. Your blood sugar really affects this, so making sure I didn't have low blood sugar, just a little bit of candy or something really helps. I get low blood sugar very easily, and I don't notice, so I keep painting, and I'm like, man, why are my hands so shaky? My hands are so shaky because I need some sugar. Right, I've just made a mistake there. It's really hard to see, but I have. So, pushing it away with a bit of water. What I mentioned earlier is that I'm using glazing agent, and I use glazing agent because it slows the paint dry speed just enough for me that I have time to fix a mistake. And that's life or death when it comes to this kind of final super detail stage. I think you can start to see now the difference that final highlight layer is making. I'm just neatening it up on some of these. Some of these are a bit messier than others. Yeah, an actual demo of me going, oh, and hitting it with water. Riveting stuff, right? Something that I think is great is that a lot of my workmates tuned into this when I first started streaming, and they were like, oh, didn't realise how long it takes to paint these things. And I was like, yeah, now you understand. Now, in fairness, I chose a scheme that's absolutely ridiculous for time, and that I'm doing it to a degree of neatness that is really time consuming. But oh god, this figure has taken so long. And I'm not getting paid for it, I'm doing it for free. It is also my own fault, but I wanted to do it for free. The owner is a really cool guy. Oh, that's a mistake. Oh, good, I'm really happy you like it, man. Is that the life cam that you got? Or the CP90? Or the Huey, actually. I've recommended quite a few, haven't I? Yeah, it's amazing. Are you using it on a Mac or are you using it on PC? Because I think it has way more controllability on the PC. Because I'm using a third-party app to control it. This big bug is for a man called John Hickton. Years and years ago, I painted a Carnifex that I found in my cupboard, because that's something that happens. When I first got my airbrush, I was kind of just like experimenting with it a lot, and I thought, oh, I wonder how fast I can paint this Carnifex to a standard I'm happy with. So I did it as a little experiment, and it was grey, had a stripy blue carapace, and green talons. And I finished it in about 3 hours, and I was like, "Oh, I'm so happy! Yay! I'll put him on. I'll put him on eBay. I'm not going to keep him. You know, otherwise I just have these walls of models." So I put him on eBay. He sold. The dude who bought him PM'd me and said, "Oh, I love him. Could you paint me a Moloch?" And I said, "Yeah." So I painted a Moloch the exact same. Sent that off. It's great. Really nice guy. Totally forgot about him for years. And he PM'd me a couple of weeks ago, and he's like, "Oh, hi. You painted Carnifex for me, and a Moloch a couple of years ago. By the way, here's my Hive fleet I've made." And this guy has the biggest Hive fleet I've ever seen. It is massive. If you do a YouTube search for Hive Fleet Voro, Voro, you'll see it, and the entire thing is based on that Carnifex. And that blew my mind. I was like, "Are you serious? You've made like a Hive fleet based on a model I painted and didn't think much of?" And he was like, "Yeah." So I was so overwhelmed. I couldn't believe it. I said, "Dude, send me something to paint to put into that army, because I'm honoured." So he sent me this. And I said, "Cool, I'll get started on that." And and suddenly had all these ideas I wanted to do. So here we go. She's nearly finished now though, anyway. Once this stripe layer is done, it's so close to being finished. Oh, I'm sorry, Calikim, I totally ignored you there. So the difference is that this webcam will have come with drivers for your PC. Doesn't come with those for the Mac. So the Mac has no way of really controlling the webcam's really great settings. So in order to actually get any kind of control, you need to download an app and you need to try and control the webcam just through this third-party app, but it's not very good. So I'm controlling this webcam through an app, like a dodgy one, whereas you'll have proper control over it, which is brilliant. So I just need to angle this a bit just to get this a little bit done. Oh crap, that looks terrible. No! Okay. That's better. So yeah, you can give me a review of how well it works on PC. Because all I got here is the shitty Mac app. Hello! Just adding a tiny bit more glaze to this mix because it's getting a bit thick. There we go. Yeah, that's why I can't keep what I paint. Everything I paint now I just put up for sale because I have a wall. And I don't play, so it's even worse when you don't play. It's like, why do I have a wall of figures? Like, to be honest, it's hard enough to explain what the hobby room looks like to people who come visit anyway, because I have like two giant shelves of all my shite I collect. And it already looks kind of like a hobby store when you walk in here. So if there was walls of painted models as well, I'd be like, oh god, get a life, Sarah. Do you mostly play War Machine now, Desserts? Oh, no, 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 no. Oh no. Actually, every stripe there was wrong. Whew. God, I'm wrecked. Concentration levels. Okay. Oh, that's right. I just saw your message on Facebook. I can't really read it right now because if I click onto that tab, I might crash everything. So I'll get back to you on it later. I'm really struggling as is with the Mac. Okay, I'm going to ignore the last few bits on the tail here because they are so small that I just need to get away from them right now and take a bit of a break from doing stripes that small, but I'll come back to them in a bit. To be honest, I think for these larger stripes I might even need to use a thicker version of this colour. The thinned version just isn't really going to cut it for them. So I've got to remix a bit. You know, I think painting motivation is just one of those really weird things that comes and goes for everyone. It so much can affect it, you know, like your work life, the amount of spare time you have. Whether you're actively taking part in the hobby as well, I think can be a really big aspect, or factor even, not aspect. I'm just mixing up a much thicker version of this paint now, the exact same shade. It's just that the stripes that I'm doing, the bigger the stripes are, the less thin this can be. Because what looks really bad is when the paint is just thin enough that the stripe becomes very slightly see-through, which is what's happening here. So I'm just thickening it up a little bit, making a new batch there. So this should be much better. Oh yeah, much better. Yeah, I'm sorry, it's just that the more tabs, if I click into a new tab, my Chrome might die. Because I don't have much RAM. I don't want to open a new one. Chrome's a... whoa. Jesus. Chrome's an absolute resource hog anyway. Don't know if anyone's noticed that. So, I'm just trying to be careful. Also put some little fine lines in here. Because it's a hoof. so I want it to look a little bit more worn. When this is done, I'm definitely gonna do another blue glaze. I think just to get it nice and married in with the base coats. I might after that do a tiny little spot highlight, but I don't know. I think I'm really. I think I've exhausted myself on this figure already, to be honest. Oh God, I don't even know what standard I would describe this as. It's just a very, very tiring scheme because of the stripes I chose to do. And the frustrating part about it is that the part that took the quickest is the part that looks the most detailed, which is the airbrushed fades. Oh, the airbrushed fades. By far the quickest. Okay. No, you certainly don't need 33 tabs open in Chrome. Although you're working from home, so maybe you do. Who am I to judge? Man, do you guys keep hearing that little that little noise? That sound is coming from outside. Someone is connecting a tablet or something. You keep hearing it. What are they doing? I'm on the second floor. Sty starts working from home outside the window. That's the only answer. Oh, yeah. Thanks for joining in. Tabs are not life. Tabs are the devil. That's too thick. Or is it? No, it's not. I'm going to work with it. Work it, baby. Work that thing. Get some memorial stripes in there. It looks so thick. There we go. Oh no, make a mistake. Ruining everything. Oh gosh. My back is gonna be wrecked after this. Oh no, stop doing that. Oh, you've two computers. Well, sorry. Look, I don't know. I'm not gonna judge you. For all I know, you could be living in those bushes out there. I'm really, really happy with the contrast on this blue now. I was worried that I had spent a lot of time night before last glazing in all the shadows under the plates, like by hand, bit by bit, and I was like, man, I really hope that actually shows what it is. So. I think that's the constant fear when you're doing something that's very subtle. There's a constant, for me, because I'm awful when it comes to subtlety. I'm very gaudy at painting, and there's a constant, oh god, I hope this isn't so subtle that no one even notices it, because then what was the point of all the effort? But I think the nice dark lines under the plates really kind of are making it look real rich now, especially with this bright final stripe. Okay, so I think that's the tail done. No. I swear to god, every time I say that I'm like, oh no, there's a bit I missed. Unbelievable. Right. Yeah, I think now that that's the tail done, I'm just going to quickly increase the size of the stripe down the spine. Just to emphasize that a bit. There we go. So yeah, so that'll just get one more light glaze. I'm actually going to glaze it with a little bit of water. Other than that, that's done now, so I'm just going to move on to the slightly easier stuff. Just all around here. It's too late now, I know your secret. It's actually beautiful outside. It's a beautiful day in Ireland. Really nice. We're having a heat wave at the moment, but unlike the last time we had a heat wave, we're actually getting a little bit of rain. The last time we had a heat wave, everything died. All the plants, crops, everything. It was really bad. But it's beautiful out at the moment, which makes it all the nicer to be sitting in a lovely cool room painting. Got the window open, I can see little rabbits outside in the field. I saw some pheasants earlier and a fox. There's a little stream outside with some ducks in it. It's quite idyllic, it's really nice. Right, in one of my previous streams I was talking about how when you're doing stripes, you always try and make sure you've angled the figure so you're painting them straight down. And that's just a physiological, yes, thing to do with how our hands work. It's much easier for us to paint straight lines, pulling down, and paint curves, pushing sideways. I don't know how. Oh, sorry, no, pulling sideways as well. There's no pushing in general isn't very good for detail work. So what I'm actually doing is, because I'm painting some fine detailing along the edge of the hoof, I'm going to turn it around this way, because I want to be able to get finer lines towards the bottom. So I'm going to pull down to get the nice little bit of detail. So I'll be doing a lot of kind of swiveling this around. But it's actually nearly finished. I did all the hard work on it already. It's just the edging. Yeah, that's nice. Okay. This side is tricky. Why did I glue the legs on? Ah, little foxes are nice. I'm next to a no, my mistake there. I'm next to a runoff field, so it's like doesn't really have a specific crop. The farmer just kind of plants whatever needs to be in it to get the soil back in condition. So there's loads of little rabbits, and there's a fox that comes around as well, obviously because there's loads of rabbits. But the farmer isn't too bothered about it because it's not a crop field. It's just for whatever really needs to be there. It's on rotation, I think, so maybe next year it'll have crops in it. Now I've got the trouble of trying to work out where I should paint that. I'm not going to put my fingers on it while I'm moving the model around. I'll probably try and do up in here. Okay. Sorry, I'm talking to myself a lot here, guys. I'm talking like to myself. What are you going to paint next? This brush is on its way out now. It's actually, I've worn the tip down. It's not that it's splayed or anything, it's that its tip is actually becoming square. It'd fall off if I didn't. What? Oh god, I realised what's probably just happened there. Oh no, that's horrible. I guess it's kind of nature then. Can't really. I always feel a bit like we only like carnivores when we see them as majestic, you know. It's like, oh, lions are so majestic and people think they're beautiful, and it's like, well, that's because you haven't seen a lion eating something's belly while it's alive. That's just nature. Animals don't really have any concern for empathy. I'm having to fix a lot of mistakes here because it's really important that I try and keep these lines around the same thickness, and it'll be really, really noticeable if I don't. So as soon as I make a mistake with the thickness, I'm trying to fix it straight away. Oh, Yes, that is a fair point. Her legs would have fallen off. See, what's starting to happen, I'm warning you now, what's starting to happen is I'm starting to talk to myself and not realising what I said. I didn't even realise that I said that about the legs out loud. So when you replied, I was like, what? And I realised what you're talking about. Whoa, whoa, no, no, no. No. Nope, 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 nope. I think the highlight of the stream has still been washing that brush in the coffee. I don't know if you guys can see that, but I'm using dots as highlights in places as well. It only really works on a sharp corner, but it's a lovely little effect. It's much nicer than a line highlight in some places. I pick that up from painting butter, from watching painting butter all the time. Can you kind of see that little dots on the corners? It looks really good. Just to shake things up a little bit. Okay. By the way, if anyone does like watching painting tutorials, because this is anything but a tutorial, but Painting Buddha is an amazing YouTube channel. I learn so much from them every time I watch something. Definitely worth a watch if you enjoy watching an extremely talented painter that is teaching you really cool stuff. In fact, to be honest, I'll probably go around this whole figure later on and do like tiny, nearly white dots as highlight points, which is once again from painting, but it's a lovely effect. You just have to make sure you get it right. So it'll be right on the corners. It's like a tiny aquamarine point. And it'll be lovely. Corners are definitely the main point where you do those dots, because they are a focused light source. It's like if anywhere is going to really have a really powerful point of light, it's into a corner. Okay, so hopefully you can see the difference between the areas that are finished in striping now and the places that are still to go. There's a lot of work still to go on this, but once this part is done, it's nearly finished. Nearly. Dr. Faust, I have watched a few videos of, and I think pretty much every painter, bar me obviously because of the state of this, but I think nearly every painter that you can find who makes video tutorials is excellent. You can learn something from everyone. Uh, Jay Aiden and Les Bursley are my favorite, but Les doesn't make that many videos because he's so busy working. But the stuff he makes is excellent. He does a lot of really handy stuff like uh, brush maintenance, airbrush cleaning, stuff like that. The stuff that you really need to know. Can you see the little dots at the top of that plate? They're only tiny, but they really make a big difference. Oh, I'm failing today, guys. Obviously need more Turkish delight. Yeah, so yeah, to continue on what I was saying there, I learn from everyone. I watch a lot of Painting Buddha while I'm at work in the background. I've tried so many of the amazing things they show on that channel, and I'm not really, I don't have the brush control yet, but I'm getting there. Like I learned glazing shadows in, glazing in different colours, and I've actually done a bit of that on this figure, which feels really good because it's like, oh wow, I actually am doing something I learned. No, too thick. Did you have thoughts on him? That was sounded like you have an opinion yourself there. Cool. Yeah, he seemed I like when like painting videos like that have like a really kind of friendly, welcoming feeling, and that's what I got from him. So his actual work is beautiful as well. Yeah, airbrush techniques are a whole new ballgame to say the least. I I still kind of shy away from a lot myself because I feel like I like talking to people about how I paint stuff. Um, and if you're doing like super airbrush tech, if you're using a lot of airbrushing, it does really limit what you can talk about because so many people just don't have one. Um, Airbrushes are strange as well because, to be honest, like they're not actually that expensive. The airbrush I've been using for 5 years cost me €20. It's one of the same kind that I'm giving away on the page. It's just a starter one. You don't need to spend a lot of money on one to get started off. And once you have one, you realise how fantastically useful they are. This brush is actually quite struggling, to be honest. Point is really wearing on it. Yes, painting Buddha is definitely not for, oh, I want to paint 20 models in the next 5 hours. Painting Buddha is for, I don't know how to improve from where I currently am for single figures. That's what painting Buddha is perfect for. I think that everyone reaches a point at some point when they're painting where they say to themselves, I want to get better, but I actually don't know how. And that's when like the more artistic stuff like painting Buddha comes in. Ha! Yeah, I'm in a rented flat with cream decor as well. Why do they do that? Why is everything cream? Oh man, it's such a bad idea. Oh my god, hi Mark. Oh, hi Mark. Hi man, long time no see indeed. Mark is a friend from when I was living in Galway and I was working in a awesome, the best shop in the world, to be honest, hobby store called Dungeons and Donuts. I'm not happy with that. Yeah, he has a Blood Bowl team. of little tiny Amazon ladies I painted for him. And they're great. They're so dirty. Dirty little ladies. So I'll put this upside down. Yeah, they are actually, aren't they? I forgot about those guys. They were great fun. They all had extremely rude names, if I remember. So all the like names were all innuendos. Oh man. Okay. I'm gonna go get a glass of water because I am making mistakes now. And it might be because my hands are just getting a little bit tired. But yeah, I'm making silly mistakes now. So I'm just going to quickly go get a glass of water just to stand up and walk around for a sec. I'll be back in 2 minutes. I'll put her on the super professional stand that I made. Wow. No! My professionalism is slipping. Ooh. I'm back, sorry. No more emergency Turkish light. I'm out. That was my last Turkish light for the day. It's quite sad. Yeah, I know. I'll keep my vodka away from the paint. You missed it earlier, Mark. I washed my brush in my coffee and then immediately went to paint the figure again. It was a really bad time. I hope you're all really in awe of my professional paint stand of that cork and blue tack. That's trademarked, by the way. None of you can use that. Okay, this is great. Concentration's back now. I find that after a couple of hours, I lose a lot of hand-eye coordination. I usually just get up, have a little walk, and I'll be fine then. I used to be in the really bad habit of once I sat down to paint, I wouldn't get back up. So I'd stay there, and even if my concentration went, even if I'd start to lose a little bit of focus in my eyes, I would just keep painting, which was stupid. Don't do that. When I was doing this super seriously, I think I actually gave myself a lot of really bad habits because I took things way too seriously. It's kind of weird that I'm painting much better now that I'm not stressing over stuff. Actually, that's not weird at all. That makes perfect sense. But I just think it's funny that I was actually a worse painter when I was trying to be extremely serious. Look, I don't understand legal mumbo jumbo. I leave that to my many lawyers. I'm gonna go trademarked, even though it's probably wrong. Oh yeah, some people mentioned earlier, I can't remember who, so there was more than one. They hadn't played any of the Dark Souls games. Totally should. You totally should if you like being really challenged. Um, God, that looks bad. And to be honest, Dark Souls 3 is probably a really good place to start. I think it's the most user friendly of the three of them. This is just so awkward to paint. Once again, because I was an idiot and I glued on the legs. Nearly done though. And once this bit is done, I just have the much easier parts of the upper thighs to go because they're really easy to reach. It doesn't at the moment, I search because I have links disabled just in case any bold person comes in here and tries to link bold things. But I'm gonna enable them again soon. I decided to play it safe just in case. You know you got a problem when you're having Kickstarter rewards shipped to you and you don't know where they came from. that's that's really good. Um, I've seen what I've watched is the original board game video they made for that showed the fight with the dancer. Um, because I'm on the Kickstarter, I get the updates they send out. So they've been sending out a lot of like text based updates of new mechanics that are being added that look fantastic. I haven't actually seen any of the newer videos because I've actually been a bit too busy to watch them, but I know they've sent me some videos as well. I actually hold my hand quite far back when I'm painting stripes like this on the brush because I can get much finer little lines. I don't know why. It just works that way for me. This is like Step Brothers. The two of you are like, did we just become best friends? How you take the bosses down in it is the same way you take them down in the game. You have to memorize their attacks. So you stay the hell away from them as much you can for the first round of their attacks. You memorize the order they come up in. You memorize where you need to be as they start to do it and where their weak point will be. And you get good. The problem is that at 50% health, the boss's attacks randomize again. So 50% you need to fall back again and start learning again. What's next, Mark? You gonna make some bunk beds so there's more room for activities? God, I love that movie. So bad. So bad that it's hilarious. Okay, let's go along this. I honestly think this is the most time-intensive figure I've ever painted. But it's been great because I've been able to stream so much of it. When I think about it, nearly the whole figure's painting is on YouTube. But there's so much more room for activities, Mark. When I was living in Cork, we had this awesome set. Oh, I loved it so much. I had it was like a single bunk bed. So it was like one bed up really high, and then under it was a computer, my computer desk, and my painting desk, and like shelves and stuff. It was really cool. It was such a good use of space. I did. Yeah. This is entirely my own fault. But I've really enjoyed painting it, in fairness. And I think it'll be the first, I think, to be honest, this is a new level of detail for me. I don't think I've painted anything before that's going to come close to this when it comes to just freehand. So it's nice to kind of, make a bit of progress like that. And be able to say to yourself, yeah, this is a new goal or a new level to try and break in the future. That feels nice. I think that's looking really good. I think by the time she's finished, this is going to be really nice now, I have to say. I don't say that about my own stuff very often at all, but this is exciting because it's slowly reaching that stage now. It's starting to look the way it did in my head when I first came up with the idea for the scheme. So that's very rewarding. Oh, sorry, I just need to stretch my back a little bit. I've got a bit of back pain. Oy. I'm not doing the basing because the full army has a very specific base layout that John has. So he's gonna base her himself just to make sure she matches everything else. I think basing is very, very important to make sure a miniature matches an army, because even though, like, oh hello Duty, sorry my little cat came in. Hello love. Even though all of the figures in this Hive fleet have very slight variations in colour, etc., and none of them are gonna be this. None of them are gonna match this. Like this has a richer blue, a deeper grey, blah blah. But it still suits the theme. Having the exact same base as all the rest is going to make a big ass difference. Like it's really going to help it match in. Mark, honestly, you really don't need anything special to start off. You really don't. And for an undead army, oh my god, an airbush would be amazing, because you could, if you're doing mostly zombies, you could like base coat them in a really dirty, mucky green, and then you can draw airbrush above them, pointing kind of straight down with bleach bone, and it does like a basic highlight and everything. You don't need any kind of special setup. I'm still using the setup I bought years ago, which is a €20 airbrush and now in fairness the compressor was about 90. That's how much a decent little compressor costs. Because the airbrush can be very simple. The airbrush can what you need from an airbrush is one of two things. If you're going to be using it for any kind of detailing, it needs to have a dual action trigger, which means it reacts both to how far you push the trigger down and how far you pull it back. So that allows you to like control airflow and paint flow, which is important. You get used to using it very quickly. So it needs that. And then if you're just doing like base coating stuff, you can just use a single trigger airbrush, which is just push the button down, air and paint comes out, done. So the setup that you need is a little compressor with a tank. That's the most important part. The compressor has to have a tank attached to it, because without the tank, the compressor will constantly be on. It won't be able to fill up a bulk of air for you to use. The compressor will constantly be on, and its air pressure is going to fluctuate slightly because its little engine will be running all the time. So it's like spurts of PSI. Be high pressure, low, high pressure, low, high pressure, low, and it doesn't work that well. For Hi Ars Gaming, it is indeed a Flyrant. This is her legs. Rest of her is over here. I'll be showing more of her in a wee bit. She's on her way to being finished now. But yeah, so you need a compressor with a tank. It's super important because it allows you to keep a constant PSI. Other than that, the airbrush can be a dirt cheap one. Send me a PM, Mark, and I'll send you a link to the exact compressor I have on eBay. And the setup I'm using. But those two airbrushes that I'm giving away, they came with this compressor. They're just basic airbrushes, and it's the same basic airbrush as the one that I've been using the whole time since I started airbrushing. I'm only upgrading that now because it's my birthday, so I'm gonna get a proper airbrush. That's not a nameless one, because the ones I'm using are just they don't even have a brand. They don't need one. They're just a basic airbrush. So I'm gonna upgrade to a brand name one. But to be honest, like when you're starting off, don't even think about getting a brand name one. Just get a basic little cheap one. Oh, you clicked Tyrants. Cool, cool. More the merrier. See, I don't actually play myself. I used to. I used to play Tyrants a long time ago. Um, when I used to play a lot, I used to play Tyrants. This Flyrant is for the owner of a beautiful Hive fleet called Hive Fleet Voro, which you can YouTube, Voro, and this is for him. It's a gift. Oh, cool! I'm glad you found some people to play with. That's what it's all about. Finding a nice kind of a hobby group that you can really enjoy playing with. That makes a massive difference. Yeah, you might be. If anyone is seeing that, if anyone is seeing it being out of sync, where the voice is out of sync, or the responses look like they're not related to any text, just refresh the video, because as I said kind of very early in the stream, I'm streaming this at really, really high quality because I need to be able to export it from YouTube. So what that means is it has some small buffering issues. If you refresh the video, it should be fine. Oh, thanks. The plates are turning out really nice. Lots of stripes. Actually, I'll tell you what, I might put down the whole figure in a little bit and show you where it's at. Because the whole figure looks very, very different to this part. It wasn't calm earlier on. Should have seen me. I made a lot of mistakes earlier. It's only calm right now because I've had some Turkish delight. Very important. Turkish delight, the ultimate hand calmer. Actually, that's a lie. Okay, hang on. I'll show you what the ultimate is for keeping your hands steady while you're painting. Let me just quickly get this stripe finished because it's slightly off, and then I'll show you my secret. Grapes. Grapes are great. It's not a pun. Grapes are really great for little snacks, and they have enough sugar in them that they help you make sure that your blood sugar doesn't drop if you're doing like a long painting session or anything like that. So I'm just eating some grapes every now and then. Stops my hand shaking. Really helps. And while I loathe to admit it, better than Turkish Delight. 1 week old with alcohol. Are you talking about wine? Wine is for later. It's still too early for me. It's nearly 5 o'clock. I'll start the wine at 6. Okay. I think that leg is done. Don't really see any extra areas I could add on. I think I'm okay with that. So I'm going to say that leg is done. I'm not looking forward to the carapace. I'm going to start on the other one now. I'm not going to stop. Stopping would be silly at this point. Just got to keep going. Need to get as much of this finished as I can by tonight, because tonight I need to start on the that Heldrick. Where do there's a spectrum. Bananas, yes, I agree. It depends on the ripeness of the banana. Are we talking about like a banana that's super ripe and mushy? Or are we talking about a green one? What be needing more time? Heldrake is a beautiful model, and this I'm actually really excited because it's one of the few 40k models that I've gone, oh yeah, I want to paint that, and I actually finally get to paint one, so it's quite exciting. And it's blue, and you might be able to tell if you've gone to my painting page and looked through the models I've painted. You might be able to tell that I quite like blue. I'd say that on the banana to Turkish, or the grapes to Turkish Delight scale, let's say Turkish Delight is a 9 on fantasticness and grapes are a 10. I'd say a really, really ripe banana would be a solid 7. Now, if we're on a potassium scale, that's a whole other story. I'm not even going to get started on that, but needless to say, the banana would be ranked higher. What a fantastic conversation about painting we're having. Oh, you're a Tervagon. Lovely. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Any big monster creature, I love. How big is your army then? It sounds like you've got a decent amount. Or else. Actually made a big mistake there. Bollocks, I didn't actually notice that now. Shite, I'll have to fix that later. There's a stripe there, it's way too thick. But I'll fix it up with a bit of glaze later on. Oh, well, you got all the bigger stuff you need. You just need like some little gaunts now. Hive Tyrant. Hope you have an airbrush. Yeah. Oh, you only have the gaunts to go now. Wink, wink. My very, 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 very first army ever were gaunts. Whoa, no, no, hang on. My very, very, very first army ever were Chaos Warriors. My very first 40k army were Tyrants. And I had no idea how to paint. So they were mental looking. So I just made it up as I went. They were black. They were solid black. They had a they had a blue card base, but it was just blue. Like it was just solid blue. But their skin was black, and what I did was I highlighted them with really, really, really strong green just all around their edges. It was really messy, but it made them look like they were out of Tron. I love those guys. I think memories of models like that are why I still paint so bright. Cool. It's funny though, Araska, when I first started playing Tyranids, everything was metal. Oh my god. Like the only models that weren't metal were the gaunts. I think even the Gene Stealers were metal when I was collecting them. And it was awful. Because I remember like I didn't know how to pin something. I didn't know how to do anything, so I just would just glue my Hive Tyrant, my metal Hive Tyrant back together over and over again, and she'd fall apart every time. Every time I used her, she'd fall apart. Oh, she was gross. She was just glue. So proud of her though. Metal hormagaunts, Jesus Christ. I don't think people realise how easy they have it nowadays with their plastic figures. Plastic? Sure, they were solid lead back in my day. Sure, they'd kill you. Is that the Carnifex that had like... Yeah, he looked like a big crab. He looked like a screaming crab. He had two claws just like that, and he would just... I remember that! Oh my god. Thanks, yeah. Oh. What happened to me? I used to be young. Yeah. Back in my day, bases were square. Oh man. Oh, whoa, no, that's a very thick line. Bad line. Bad. Go away. There we go. I remember, because I hadn't know, I was a peasant child, and I used to, like, look in the window of Games Workshop and go, whoo. And I remember seeing, like, I think I remember, like, reading a White Dwarf in an Easton store somewhere, and there was pictures of that Carnifex, and he was always painted the same way. He was always, like, red and orange, and, like, really pastel-y. Sometimes he was purple. I distinctly remember that. Huh? Oh yeah, yeah. Well, that's a given, isn't it? Like I pair nuts with the chat, doesn't fucking matter. I think I'm going to put the videos up. I'm going to download them. Then I'm going to take them off YouTube, and then I'm going to upload them at a sped up with no sound, because this is just too boring to watch. It's just such a long process, and without sound, like without, oh man, I really screwed that up. I need to fix that. Without being in the chat, it's very boring. Wow, Mark, thanks for like making the same joke I made, but after I made it because you hadn't heard it yet because of the Twitch delay. Thanks though. No, I'm leaving. I'm gonna. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have. I'm gonna make everything like really fast up until the coffee incident with no sound, and then as the coffee incident happens, it'll just go into normal speed, and you'll just hear me screaming, "I put the brush in the coffee!" It'll be brilliant. Everyone needs to know that happened. Okay. God, I think I'm actually done with the legs. By this little tail bit. Yeah, super slow-mo. So my voice is all warped. I put the brush in the coffee. We're onto something here. Oh, oh, Mark, you've no idea. This video isn't even really capturing the heckin' detail on this thing. I'm gonna lay her out now so you can have a look at where she is. Let me just get the camera to focus at this distance. I have to do this manually. This is the only downside. Like the camera's autofocus isn't able to work properly because of the Mac. It doesn't have the right drivers. Okay, so legs are done. Rest isn't for stripes. So yeah, so that's where she's at now. So she's getting there very slowly. Whew. Yeah, the wings are, you see the actual, you know, what the figure is going to look like when it's finished. The wings are airbrushed, obviously. So when this is finished, it is going to be lovely. But I still, drama. I still have quite a lot of work to do with the stripes and the carapace. Is the thorax especially is going to take forever. Although then again, to be fair, the stripes I'm going to do on the thorax are going to be far easier than the tiny little stripes on the legs because it's much bigger. So I'm going to get on that now. I'm just going to stretch again for a little bit because I'm very tired. So what comes after, anyway, just to explain what's going to come up after this, let me just zoom in again to where I think that's correct. Sorry, just let me check the zoom for a second. Nope. That's about right. So what's happening next is the stripes are going to be finished, and then they're going to get a glaze of Gullyman blue over them again, bringing them all down a little bit, make them a bit darker, and then there's going to be a tiny spot highlight, and I mean a really tiny spot highlight on them. But other than that, they're nearly done. I think that's in focus. It's actually quite hard to tell the size of the screen I'm using. I think it is. So, the airbrushing, arse is, it's just a case of layering, really. With the airbrushing, you decide on the color that you're gonna go for. So in your case, if it's like yellow or green, you're gonna look for some shades that or say you said orange. Okay, so for orange, you could do the exact same thing with a black base, fading up to red in the center, fading up to yellow in the center of the red. So let me show you what I mean. Okay, so black base, green, yellow in the center, blend it in. So you would do the same thing. Now this has about 5 layers on it. So I just kept adding a little bit more green to the mix and then adding it just into the center, a little bit more green, what am I saying? A little bit more yellow into the green, a little bit more yellow into the green until I ended up with a pure Bad Moon yellow. And that's the yellow that's showing there. Sorry, I think the zoom is still slightly off. Let me. Sorry, folks, I'll just be 1 second. I just want to make sure this was actually focused. This is the downside. I can't. I have no way of doing an autofocus. Okay, so it's focused at this level. That's fine. So yeah, you'd go red, orange, yellow. So black base, red center, orange in the center. That again, yellow in the very midpoint, and you'd get a really fiery color. It would be lovely. That's what the airbrush is all about, getting in those nice fades. Okay, right, so I'm going to do the carapace next because it's the most exhausting part, I think. I'm going to get it out of the way while I'm still quite focused. I'm going to quickly run to the toilet. It's important you all know that. Of course you can. Hang on. You won't be able to send a link here. So send me a PM on my painting page. I have the address here saved. Send me it here. And see you, Mark. So I'll be back in just 2 seconds. Just gotta take a quick break. Just thinking, do you know what would be really cool if I could get instead of using OBS, if I got a setup that allowed there to be the chat box from where we're chatting to show here. You know, so people who are viewing this will be able to see the chat as well when I put it on YouTube. But also thinking about that, the problem is it would make the viewpoint for the model smaller. You know, I think it's more important to have the model be in focus. Yeah, so I sound a little bit less insane. I mean, it'll be a bonus, I think, for me. I like how absolutely no paint was coming off the brush there. Yeah. No, that's not right. Okay, I need to mix up more of this. So, dollop of ice blue. Come on. Come on, ice blue, you can do it, buddy. Oh, there we go. So proud of you. I'm gonna glaze the carpet. Everything's glazed. The first layer of glazing is down. I need to get the layer of stripes that I'm currently on finished. So like, this is finished. This you can see doesn't have the same. So when everything has this same layer of stripes on it, I'll glaze everything again. Yeah, a buggy onion. See, even though there's a lot more stripes on this, they're thicker, which means be a bit faster doing them. Can get way more of these little tiny fine lines in as well. They make a big difference. This is actually pretty much the only place I'll be able to get these tiny fine line brush strokes in, because there's just so much more room here compared to all the other areas that had the stripes. See that nice little kind of fade here? There's still going to need to be a glaze to bring all this down though. There we go. I'd also say that it needs let me actually just check how that looks. Maybe I shouldn't have done that actually. Remember what I said about how great that was? Look. Just wipe it off. If you've got the right consistency of glaze in there, you've got so much time where you can wipe this off. So that was good. That was a good save there. I'm going to stick instead with the See, what I did there is exactly what I was saying I shouldn't do earlier, where I decided to break my pattern. And I was like, oh no, this will look good. No, stick with the pattern you have. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm not going to put these very, very pale blue highlights up along the whole figure, like along the whole carapace, because it's not going to work, sadly. But I will put them relatively far back along the lines and up the front of the lines as well. And now I can join them. Which looks much better. If I tried to do those all as one stripe, it would be really wobbly. So this is a little bit better. It's just it's too long a line to do in one stripe. Oh, nice. Surprise delivery. What did you order for them? Oh. Oh, so they wanted to send it out as quickly as possible. Hmm. Oh, what? They put them in a padded envelope. That's. Oh. I can't believe they put them just in an envelope. God, I'd be going mad. Yeah, it's very, very cheeky with something you paid for. Okay, kind of dreading doing this part, but I need to get the curves up on this chimney. I think that's what it's called. Whew. Getting there. I think I might need to focus this in a little bit actually. It's just this is a very difficult area to record because it's very 3D. This the big pillars going up. It's the flat fireplace. Okay, I'm gonna just refocus this slightly. Convert. Yeah, the clicking sound is me just because I'm using a touchpad, so I'm clicking the actual button. Okay, just make sure the front, because the front's very important. Sure this part is super neat. Okay, and I'm gonna actually get the top of the vent done, because I didn't do that on the last. Do that on the last layer. It's really important. Might even do slightly down into the vent. Might be a bit too much hassle. No, I'll leave it as it is for now. There's some little tiny kids outside playing. I don't know if you can hear them. They sound like they're just little babies. No. my neck. Ooh. Time for a couple of grapes. Sorry, I just need to have a little stretch there. It's become extremely foggy out. It was very, 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 very sunny all day, and now it's foggy. I'm just quickly checking my Facebook chance. And then back onto these stripes. It's crazy the difference just getting up for a second makes to your ability to focus your eyes and paint in detail. Really is so important to just get up and have a little walk around every half an hour or so. Even if you think you're fine, just get up and do it. You'll notice a massive difference in your focus levels as soon as you sit back down again. I really appreciate that people are watching this, by the way. I know it's not exactly the most riveting thing in the world, but it means a lot to me that people are willing to tune in and just kind of chill out. I think this is one of the hardest parts because I can't just do straight lines. Everything has to be slightly curved. And I'm painting over areas that have a lot of shading on them already. That's why I think the one last glaze is going to be really important. Toothpick. Okay. I might take a quick break in just a second to make some coffee after the sad ending my last cup had. Still annoyed about that. Not coffee. I know. Destructor. Oh my god, why did I do that? Clearly I need coffee. This is the problem, I didn't get to have a full cup this morning, you know? Or, well, this evening. Oh god, I wish it was some Irish coffee. I do actually make a mean Irish coffee, but I don't have the whiskey. I'm leaving the vents till last, because once I get into like a little zone for painting the straight line stripes, it's best to kind of get as many done as I can. And then I'll move on to the others. There's no point in kind of flip-flopping between doing straights and then doing curved lines. Okay, I am going to quickly go have a nice cup of coffee. I'll be back in about 10 minutes. I'm going to stop the stream again so that it generates a new downloadable video section for me. So thank you everyone who's joined in so far. If you want to join in again, give me about 10 minutes and I'll be online again. Maybe grab a cup of coffee yourself and don't put your paintbrush in it. Back in a mo.